Panasonic tier list. I don't know if you guys have heard, but apparently there are a lot of Panasonic lenses out there. And today we are going to put them in a tier list. Oh, forgot the glasses. All right. So today we're going to put them in a tier list, and we're going to make sure that I have definitively ranked logically, factually, statistically, the best lenses for Micro Four Thirds. And just to do a caveat that I didn't think I needed to say, but I got a lot of comments on the last video. Obviously, I want you guys to argue, come back at me, tell me I'm wrong, figure out what's right, what's wrong, start this discussion. That's really the whole point of this. Tier lists are not really like supposed to be definitive rankings, despite what I just said. It's kind of just for fun. It's your own personal opinion. It's kind of goofy, but it's also hopefully a little bit entertaining. So I've made a tier list here. Micro Four Thirds for Video 2.0 tier list maker. You can do your own tier list if you want to. If you do, send it to me. I'd love to see what you guys put down for this. But basically, I've got every single lens I could find here, and a couple secret things down here we'll talk about later. I've also got screenshots of everything so I can bring them up in more detail and talk about them. A few more disclaimers. While I have used a lot of lenses on this list and used a few lenses from certain categories, like I've used the Olympus 12-40 and 12-100. Well, I guess I've used most of them, but I haven't used like the 7-14. So I don't have direct experience with that lens, but I've watched a bunch of reviews and I've used other lenses in that class. So it's like, yeah, I haven't used every single lens, but again, we're kind of just doing this for fun. So hopefully that makes sense. Definitely comment, definitely argue, but don't, keep it respectful and don't be weird. Don't be, I know how it gets. So it's the internet. So yeah, I did say also for video. I'm going to try to rank these not just for video, but I'm a videographer first and foremost, so definitely going to have a little bit of a video bias probably. Just wanted to make that clear going in. Also, this is the website where I found all the lenses, which is a great list, and I'm pretty sure it's as comprehensive as anything I've ever seen. So if you need to know how a tier list works, we've got S here at the top, amazing. You got D here at the bottom, pretty bad. It's going to be a pretty rough lens to be in D. It's going to be an amazing, like epic tier lens to be in S. And everything in between is everything in between. So let's get into it. So the website had the Olympus. Oh, we got notifications. We had on the website we have Olympus first, and the first thing up is the Olympus 7-14 f2.8 Pro lens. Few benefits are we've got like weather sealing on most of these Pro lenses. We've got a good zoom, manual focus clutch, very nice looking. I would say, I think these Pro lenses are probably going to end up in A lot of the time, just because I don't quite trust the manual focus on them. It's a little bit jerky on like the 40-150, which I noticed just over time using it. But I think this one's going to be like an A. I want to put it in B, but it's better than that. I'm going to put it in an A, but it's a low A because one, the focus, and two, the biggest thing with this lens is look at this front element. That's going to be a no-go for filters. So you need a really, really bizarre kind of setup for filters on this lens, and that's not my bag, baby. So I'm going to put it in A, but with some asterisks. Next up, we have, let me get up the image. Next up, we've got the relatively new Olympus. It says Olympus, but I'm pretty sure this is an OM lens. Olympus and OM, same difference. The O in OM stands for Olympus, I'm pretty sure. So there you have it. We've got the Olympus M Zuiko Digital ED 8-25 f4 Pro. Again, we've got the clutch, we've got the nice zoom, we've got a good range. 8-25 could be amazing for studio stuff and travel. I wish it would be like 8-35 or maybe, or like something like that. It'd be better, but it's pretty small, probably pretty good for video. 16mm full frame equivalent on the wide end. I think it's just missing. It's just a little too expensive. I think I'm gonna put this, we might come back to this one, but this feels like a B lens to me for now, but it's a high B. Like, it's very close to this. It's got a filter thread, which is an upgrade, but I think it's just a little too slow or a little too limited of a zoom range. Like, I think that Leica 12-60 is probably better. All right, what the hell is this thing? This is an abomination. This is, I mean, if you can get this used, it might be great. It's the 9-18. Famously, Emily from Micro Four Nerds loves this lens, so I don't want to trash talk it too much. But yeah, it's not good. It's a 9-18, so good range-ish. Like if you're going for wide angle stuff, but variable aperture, not good for video. You've got a really rough looking focus ring, if it even has one. I'm not sure. This is a lens I haven't had much experience with, so don't quote me on it, but I don't think it takes a genius to know that this is probably D tier, just because I know the optics are bad too. And this is like also Zooms first, if that wasn't obvious. It's going to go Zooms, Primes, Olympus, Zooms, Prime, Panasonic, and then some other stuff. The Olympus 12-40 f2.8 Pro 2. So, interesting lens, great f2.8, pretty good range. It's not as good as the bigger brother zoom. Manual focus clutch, nice. We've got the zoom ring, very nice. A function button, great. A good filter size of like 62 or 58 or something along those lines. Yeah, it's going an A. It's an A lens. It's a workhorse. I think there's better lenses, but you know, especially for used prices, this is going to be pretty epic. Okay, the 12-45 f4 Pro. Once again, I wonder about the credentials of this lens compared to the 12-40. It's not that much smaller. It doesn't have that much better range. I still think it doesn't have stabilization, which would have been a benefit. That light said it had 2 hours on it. Son of a bitch. We're just going to leave it off. So this Olympus, it doesn't have image stabilization. So if you're on a unstabilized Pocket 4K or something along those lines, it might be a little bit lower. But with the stabilization of the GH6 and the OM1, I'd say this is an A tier lens. The F4, it's going in B. I mean, I see the value of it being small, but F4 on Micro Four Thirds is just hard to sell for professional work and in a tier list. You know. Speaking of F4 though, you can easily make up for an F4 by being this next lens, the Olympus 12-100 f4 IS Pro. It's got the clutch back. It's got the image stabilization, which is very rare for Olympus, but it is coming with a pretty decent price tag. I would say this is like a great like camcorder style zoom. It's got a f4. It's got a good minimum focus distance at a lot of the different aperture ranges. It's got the clutch. It's more or less parfocal. I've used it a little bit, and there's some weirdness in the 12-18 area, but 18-100 is pretty clean. So, yeah, really nice. Yeah, it's a tier lens. It's a tier lens. What is next? We've got the Olympus 12-200 f3.5 to 6.3. This feels like a B lens to me. Maybe this actually might be our first C lens. So this is obviously an incredible range, 24-400, but the f3.5 to 6.3 is both slow and variable. I don't think if you stopped it down to f6.3, it would hold that 6.3 very well. It'd probably be stepping a little bit with the focus and the iris, which is what I've seen in some test footage. I just think that's the price. It doesn't quite line up for me. This is a C tier lens. It's getting C because it's just so unique. It's got the biggest zoom range I've seen in almost any system, but especially on Micro Four Thirds, and yeah, it earns it a spot. The 14-42 f3.5 to 5.6. Let's put it in D because slow, limited zoom, no IS, too small to operate well. Yeah, it's just not good for video, not great for photos. I mean, just because these lenses, by the way, are in C or D tier doesn't mean they're bad. They're just bad for professional work. This is a tier list, you know. It's like, yes, a Prius is great. You know, yes, a 1996 Toyota Avalon is an amazing car. But if you're ranking it in like, you know, there's not going to be any like top tier lists of cars in 2023 that have like a consumer car from the 90s on it. It's just not gonna happen. Moving on. Another 14. Yeah, put it in D. Put it in D. Don't waste my time. It's a 14-42 f3.5 to 5.62. It's bigger. Great. Still has all the same problems. Ooh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. We've got the Olympus 40-150 f2.8 Pro. Okay, so you already know you already know what's happening. It's going in A tier. It's got an incredible range. 80 to 300 is so much more flexible than the standard 70 to 200. Although if it was, might be a little more telephoto obviously, but not bad. Great aperture value. Still holds a 2.8 through the whole zoom range. Not quite parfocal, but pretty close. Manual focus is not perfect, but pretty good. Autofocus on Panasonic and Olympus is good or great, depending on the body. And it's just a fantastic lens. If you've got the 14, or if you've got the 12 to 40, you want this 40 to 150 eventually. And even if you're all penny like me, you're still looking at this 40 to 150 being like, man, this is just so much better for a lot of things than the 35 to 100. So yeah, these are really solid lenses. No IS again, so if you're GH5S, you're Blackmagic 4K. If you want IS or handheld, you might want to do something different, but it's you know, yeah. Moving on, we've got the cheapo version, the 40 to 150. Yep, I hate this lens. It was one of the first lenses I ever used. It's fine for photos, horrendous for video. You can't zoom smooth, you can't focus smooth. It's slow, it's variable. It's a great budget option for sure. Like I would, it's so cheap that it's gonna earn it a C tier for sure, not a D tier. But I kind of disliked that lens when I owned it. Moving on, we've got the Olympus 75 to 300. So this is gonna be another C tier for professional work, but I do understand the value, so don't pretend I don't. It's a little slow, but we've got a lot of little benefits here. It's a great range. I think it could be really fantastic for the budget. And if you need a 600 millimeter, little pricey, let's put it in C for now, but it's a high C. I'll put it ahead of these guys for sure. Bada boom. Okay. So this one is interesting because this is a competitor to the Leica lens. So we got the Olympus 100 to 400, so 200 to 800 f5.0 to 6.3. It's got IS, so that's great. Generally, IBIS on the GH series doesn't really work as effectively out to like 50 plus millimeters. So having lens image stabilization, even if it's not dual IS, that lens image stabilization, if it's good, it's going to work out pretty well. By all accounts, this is a pretty fantastic lens, but it is very niche, it is very expensive, and it is still variable aperture, so we'll put it in B tier, but I do see the value of this lens for sure. But yeah, from a pure quality standpoint, not considering price as much, yeah, I would say that's accurate. This lens is just so good looking and performs so well. It's truly in a class of its own. So it is so niche and so expensive that it just has to be this good. I'm putting it in A just because if you need an 800 to 800 times 1.25, 900. Hey Siri, what's 400 times 2 times 1.25?
400 times 2 times 1.25 is 1,000.
It is 1,000. Okay. So if you need an 1,000 millimeter native micro four thirds lens, it's hard. There's no other options. It's in a league of its own. It's pretty incredible. I'm not going to give it S tier just because it's so niche, but it's an A tier, I'd say pretty easily. Amazing. Moving on. Ooh, we're into the prime lenses. Olympus 8mm f1.8 fisheye pro lens for micro four thirds. So this is a weird one because I don't like fisheyes. If you need a fisheye, this is like S tier, obviously, because it's one of the 2 or 3 for micro four thirds that are native. I think the question here is, do you need a clutch for an 8mm fisheye? Do you need autofocus for an 8mm fisheye? Could you use something cheaper and get similar results? I would say so, but it is such a good lens that I'm going to put it in A, but it's so niche. This could be a D or it could be an S, depending on what you do. Very strange lens. If it was not fisheye, it would probably be S tier. Really? A 9mm f8 fisheye? Like, in a I just think in a professional situation, what is this good for? Probably not much. Like, it's fun, it's cool. It's a body cap lens, so like, oh, you know, something's happening right now. Like, let's bust this out and get the shot. Like, could be, but I know the quality's not good. Like, what are you doing with an f8 on a professional in a professional setting? It's a fisheye too. 12mm f2 for micro four thirds. So this is going to be, I think, what would I put this in? So I know some of these lenses have clutches, but they're not that great, so I'm not going to factor that in very much. Small, 12mm f2. I could definitely see the professional benefit to this, and these f2 lenses are pretty solid. This is tough. I might have to come back to this. What do you guys think? Is this an A or a B? I suppose I'll put this in A. I don't know. I'm curious what I didn't watch my old video back. I'm curious what I put this in previously, but yeah, 12mm. You know, just because there is no Panasonic equivalent of this lens, there's no. The closest is the 12mm f1.4, which is a lot more expensive. I guess we'll put it in B. I mean A. Sorry. Another body cap f8, 30mm this time. Since it's not a fisheye, we'll put it in C instead of D. Okay. Ooh. We've come to the part of the list where the first epic lens has made an appearance. This is the Zuiko Digital 17mm f1.2 Pro. So, why is this S tier? Let's take care of this right away. Incredible image quality, amazing bokeh, custom function button, manual focus clutch. The only thing that I could even knock against this is like outside of this single lens's control, which is the fact that there's no good wider angle of this. If there's a 12mm to this set, it would be S plus tier and I would own them, but fortunately 17mm is not wide enough for me. But the quality, the aperture value, the build quality, the dust splash, freeze proofing. Olympus, I never do this usually, but send me these lenses. Or send me any lens. I don't care. I want to look at them. I love Olympus lenses. I just like Panasonic lenses more, usually. But this is a truly epic, legendary lens. Followed up by the cheap version, the 17mm 1.8 for micro four thirds. A little expensive. This might be the first lens that had a clutch, so props to it, but for the price, I have to say it's a little rich for my blood. It should be A, but out of principle, I kind of want to put it in B. Yeah, I'll put it in B. Might not make sense, but here we go. We're riding. 17mm f2.8 pancake. I sleep. I guess since there's the 2.8 on a prime is just so not worth it. I put it in D, but I understand it could be good for some people, like a C or a D camera, just need a small lens, whatever. Oh, here it is. 25mm f1.2 Pro. Everything good about the 17mm in a 25mm package. It's going to S tier. They are expensive, but they're some of the best lenses ever made for the micro four thirds system. All the same pros. Good, even decent minimum focus distance. So, moving on. 25mm 1.8. I think this lens is overpriced. It's good. I know you can use it professionally, but I think it's just a little too expensive for what it gives you. Especially no clutch. Not even trying on the clutch. So, B tier, but still a very sharp, very good lens. Just not quite A tier for me. 30mm 3.5 macro. This feels like a very B lens to me. Kind of slow, kind of weird focal length for macro. Usually people like a little bit further, but I'm sure the quality is good. It's just a very specialized lens. We'll put her in B. Get ready. This might be one of the most epic lenses on the system. The 45 millimeter f1.2 Pro. Don't want to repeat myself again, but the feathered bokeh, the manual focus clutch, 90 millimeter equivalent, getting the absolute most blur you can get in the system with a first party lens. Incredible. 3 S tiers. That's like 3 out of the 5 I think we're gonna do. There might be a few more if I feel very generous. 45 millimeter 1.8. I think still that like some of the stuff from Panasonic is a better value, so we'll put it in B, but I could be persuaded to put it in A just because I know that lens is particularly well liked. Okay, 60 millimeter f2.8 macro. I think this could be a B lens. I think it's definitely B. Actually, it's a little faster. I put it in A. I'm feeling generous. This is one of the better macros for the system. So if you're doing macro, very solid. Could be a great option. This one's curious. The Olympus 75mm 1.8. So this is kind of like the lens people pair up with the Olympus Pros on the long end. There is some rumors that this is, or maybe confirmed rumors that this is just a rehoused lens made by somebody else, not Olympus, but still got good bokeh, still good quality, and it still exists in a league of its own. So I'd say this is an A lens. Just because there is no competitor to it. There is the closest thing is really that 45 Olympus 1.2. I don't think there's anything else that goes past like 42, 45 millimeters that is faster than f1 2.8 or f2. So cool. This is the a 90 millimeter 3.5 macro lens. We've got I don't know if I'm that familiar with this lens. Let me do a little bit of research. Okay, so we got macro switches. We've got image stabilization. Okay, I mean, we'll give this another A tier just because of the macro stuff is very... I know I give the other 3.5 B, but that's because of the shorter focal length. This has IS, this has limiters, this has... I think it's cool. And again, 90 millimeters, even at 3.5, 90 millimeters at a normal distance is going to be blurry enough at 180 millimeter equivalent, so I think it's versatile enough. The 30 millimeters, like what are you gonna do with the 60 millimeter 3.5 on Micro Four Thirds? Ooh, this is a beast. This is a monster. 600 millimeter full frame equivalent f4 Pro lens. Again, it's so specialized that it's going to be epic if you need it and if you have it, but do you need it? I think it's just as good as the other primes, but for me, it's just a little too specialized and a little too slow at f4. So we'll put it in A just because it has clutch, stabilization, still pretty fast for a 300 millimeter, 600 millimeter equivalent, and I know the quality is great, but I don't know if I can quite grant it the S tier ranking. Okay, and that does it for Olympus. Overall, a pretty good spread, which is like kind of the theme of Micro Four Thirds. You've got your low budget fun lenses like the lens caps and things like that. You've got the super high end primes, which I think are the best lenses that Olympus has probably ever made. Maybe the best primes for Micro Four Thirds in general. Spoilers, I guess, for Panasonic, but generally I find the Zooms just fall a little bit short of what Panasonic does. So yeah, there it is. So let's move on to Panasonic and see what there is to see. So, okay, this is an oldie but a classic, the Panasonic 7 to 14 millimeter f4. So right away, I think this is a B lens just because kind of thinking about what comes later. So I'll explain why. 7 to 14, not the most comprehensive zoom range, but pretty wide, great. F4, kind of slow. Image quality, it's kind of an old lens, so it's just okay. And this has the same built-in hood, no filter issue that the Olympus has, and it's even slower. So, what did I put the Olympus in B? I think it's an A. Yeah, so this is definitely B or C tier, although it's fantastic value if you get it used. It seems like a C to me, especially because this next lens, like 8-18, so f2.8 on the wide end, which is what you're going to use most of the time anyway. So as fast as the Olympus, a lot smaller, a little bit cheaper, a lot cheaper if you get it bundled or, whatever, buy used. Good minimum focus, and it's got a filter thread, which is huge for video, huge for professional photography. Yeah, it's going to be an A tier lens for sure. I think it's better than the Olympus, but not obviously not S tier. This might have been a B tier in the past for me, just about. But since I've done that review, the old tier list, Panasonic has updated its cameras, at least most of the newer ones, with linear focus controls. And so, even though there's no manual focus clutch, you can program in a focus degrees from like 45 to like 1,000 plus. And so you can get super accurate focus with some of these higher end lenses and newer bodies. So without that update, I think for filmmaking especially, the manual focus is just not quite there. But with this new update, very solid. Next. Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached another S tier. The Panasonic Lumix G Leica DG Vario Summilux 10-25, a spherical lens for micro four thirds black. Not that there's any other color, although a white version of this would be something. Great lens. One of the best lenses ever made for Panasonic Lumix cameras. Again, rumors of another company designing it, but who cares? Because it performs amazingly. Sharp, low chromatic aberration. The focal range is amazing. I love it so much more than your standard 24-70, like a 35, total 35 on micro four thirds. The 10 millimeters, like going from 24 to 20 millimeter equivalent, is a bigger deal than you would think. And only getting to 50 on the long end instead of 70 is not that big of a deal, especially because if like subject separation is your goal, the faster aperture gives you the same or even better subject separation at 25 millimeters. You've got you're putting in the 12, 35, 50 millimeter and a slightly wider prime lens all in one package. Insane minimum focus, clickless aperture ring, manual focus clutch, parafocal zoom, weather proof, freeze proof, dust proof. It doesn't get much better than this. This is the best zoom you can buy for micro four thirds, outside of maybe a dedicated cinema zoom, but it can do it all because it also does photos. So incredibly good lens, like truly, like fell from a spaceship level. Oh no, I lost my spot. Okay, so we've got kind of two main versions. There's actually three versions of the 12 to 35, but I'm going to put versions 1 and 2 together, and just because they're not that different. So there's a few. I know it's not ideal, but I couldn't. You can't get the version 1 anyway, so let's just say this is version 2. Pretty good lens. I mean, I personally have a vendetta against this lens, so but I understand this would also be in B tier, but it's going to A tier just because it's so flexible. It's such a good range. It's relatively affordable compared to the 10-25, and f2.8 is totally fine for the aperture. It's got stabilization, so it works on Pocket 4K, and GH5S is a little bit better if you don't have it all rigged up and you don't have IBIS, of course. So we'll put it in A, but slightly begrudgingly. Then we have the new Leica version. Focus is closer, maybe better stabilization. I have a conspiracy theory it's got motors for phase detect in it, but it's not that much better. So it's going to go in A, about the same as it stands right now. And again, both of these lenses vastly benefit on a filmmaking standpoint from the linear focus updates that allows you to program in your focus degrees and not get the weird fly-by-wire focus ramping. I really like this lens. It's a 12 to 60, aka 24 to 120, f2.8 to f4. I set it to f4, and it's basically a constant aperture. Great zoom range, great kit lens, great value. If you can get it used, don't buy it new unless it's with a camera body. Great lens. The Panasonic, this is going in D tier. It's a power zoom, which is a cool feature, but it's only got basically one speed. Autofocus is bad. No manual focus ring at all, I don't think. And variable aperture, very truncated zoom range. The disrespect that this lens makes me feel earns it that's what the D tier is for. D stands for disrespect. I spelled it wrong. Okay, sorry. Moving on. 14 to 140. Okay, there's actually an old version of this lens, which I don't think is on this list. So the old one would probably go in D tier. I'm going to put this one in C tier. It is great for its big zoom range, but, and I do love it. I have a soft place in my heart for this for like travel and stuff, but autofocus a little slow. Video focus a little slow. It's not parfocal for video use. It's weather sealed. It's great value. I think could be perfect for some people because it is such an insane 28 to 280 range, but realistically, I guess I'll put it in B just because the value is just there, just a little bit more than something like the 12 to 200, which has a barely bigger zoom range, but is almost double the price a lot of times. Okay, S tier time, baby. It's the 25 to 50. So, oh god, I'm running out of room. Jeez. Okay, so 25 to 50. If you have the 10 to 25, you at least want the 25 to 50. It's a 50, an 85, a 100. It's the portrait lens to kill all portrait lenses. Get the nifty 50 and everything in between, like 100 millimeters. f1.7 constant. Some of the, in that focal range between 25 and 50, the best close-up capability in the Micro Four Thirds line, prime, zoom, otherwise outside of a dedicated macro lens. There's almost no lens that can focus as close as this, and definitely none that are even close to as fast. So this lens is a video, photo, portrait, cinema, macro-ish, epic lens. Not quite as useful generally as the 10 to 25 just because of the smaller zoom range and more like full standard telephoto range instead of a wide to short range, which is more useful for general, work, but still just like an epic lens. We've got the 12 to 35 f2.8 version 2. Easy A. This is a great lens. I love it a lot more than the 12 to 35. I consider buying this lens to this day just because sometimes that 25 to 50 is not quite long enough, and that 7200 range is a classic for a reason. It's got pretty poor close focusing capabilities, so that is a bummer for sure. But other than that, I love this. There's a little swirly bokeh going on. It's got a little character, but it's still very sharp. Great lens. The f4 to 5.6 version, it's a C. It's a C for me. I can see it being useful because it's not that slow. It's not that variable, but it's not that good either. 40 to 150. Okay, we can go through these a little bit. 40 to 150. 45 to 150. It's a little cheaper, but just buy the 14 to 140. Yeah, that's my review on that one. Power zoom. Okay, so this one's going in D just because it's such a short zoom range. Not that telephoto. Not that good for many pro things, but it could be fun for other stuff. Putting the power zoom in here too. Don't kid me. And again, we got a 45 to 200. It's a little bit more telephoto, so getting a 400 millimeter. I'll elevate this one slightly to C just because it could be useful for people who don't do that much telephoto work but still want a decent telephoto lens. That's a good range, but the price, if you get a good used price, whatever. Ooh, this is an interesting one. So the Leica DG Vario 50 to 200 f2.8 to 4. So this is like the premiere of the Leica zoom lenses on Micro Four Thirds before the 1.7s came out, and this is an easy A for me. It could have been a B in the past just because of the focal range is a little weird. Starts a little zoomed in at 100 millimeters, full frame equivalent, but it's a great range, super smooth zoom, and with the linear focus updates that the Panasonic cameras got that not that long ago, I think it's an easy A. 100 to 300. I think the value on this is very solid. I think the version 2 is improved from the version 1, which is not amazing. I think this is a B for me just because it is a decent budget option to get really telephoto shots, and I use it for weddings a lot just because sometimes at events and weddings, you just can't get that close. And having a 600 millimeter lens in your bag that's about this big is kind of cool. This lens always conflicts me because the zoom is super sticky. The manual focus is not great, but I think it does have the linear focus update. It's got one of the best zoom ranges in the telephoto end of Micro Four Thirds, only beat out by the Olympus. But because of the even darker aperture, the very similar performance to the 100 to 300, I'm going to put this in B tier. It's like a C for price, but like an A for quality. So overall, it's B tier. I think most people would be perfectly happy with the 100 to 300. But if you really need that extra 100 millimeters, trust me, I'm tempted too. But I just don't think it's worth it for most people. All right, that is the Panasonic Zooms, but we're into the Primes now. So a 3.5 8mm fisheye from Panasonic. I don't want to put it in D, because if you want a good fisheye, it's too expensive though. I'll put it in C just because there's nothing inherently wrong with it, but my fisheye bias, I'm going to try to ignore. This is good. All right, this is an instant A. Close to, you know what? Welcome to S tier, Panasonic. Again. This is the first Panasonic Prime on the S tier, and I'll tell you why. So, price. Wait, did it go? Oh, here it is. So I'll tell you why this is S tier. Okay, so 9mm. This is actually the first non-fisheye prime wider than 12mm on Panasonic Micro Four Thirds Olympus history. Okay, every wide-angle zoom before this was either 12mm and up with the fastest being a 1.4, or a zoom. So 10 to 25, 7 to 14, whatever. Fastest was a 2.8. Then Panasonic comes out with a 9mm, so 18mm equivalent, which is like the sweet spot for me for wide angles. I think any wider than that, you're getting into some weirdo territory. One fast f1.7 aperture, still small, linear focus. The only thing it's missing is a focus ring, but and for $500, these absolute mad lads have done it. It's a crazy good lens. It's great. It's really good value. It's hard to buy when you have the 10 to 25 because you're like, it's only like 1 or 2 millimeters wider. It's like an 18 versus a 20, but I think it's worth it for a lot of people. It's great for astro. It's great for wide angle. Great for real estate. And it's the only lens in its class, which does a lot for me. So I would say this is such a unique lens for Micro Four Thirds. It's got to be S tier. It's one of the cheapest S tier lenses we're gonna have, maybe the cheapest. So yeah, really well done. Speaking of wide angles, we've got the 12mm 1.4, a little expensive. Before, I'm not gonna lie, these Leica Primes really let me down. Bad focus, okay autofocus, some are weather sealed, some aren't. The apertures are inconsistent. The ability to have an aperture ring at all is inconsistent. But with the linear focus control, and the weather sealing, we're going to go to A just because it is one of the better wide angle primes for the system. It's not too wide, so you can still shoot people with it, but it's not a real estate lens either. It's almost S, but it's just not quite as unique as the other ones. This picture almost made me fall asleep looking at it. It's fine. I think I put it in D last time because I don't know why. I'll put it in C. It's probably fine. But f2.5 on a prime that's 14mm, which is 28mm, which is so boring, makes me sleep. But there's nothing offensively bad about it, so I'll put it in C. 15mm 1.7. Chef's kiss. So good. It's a great value. It's got 1.7 aperture. It's got an aperture ring on a relatively cheap lens, which is usually reserved for... It is a Leica lens, but it's not quite in the like 1.2, 1.4 category. It's 1.7, but it's not as like cheap and has better image quality than the cheaper Panasonic Primes. So I'll put this... it's not that great. The autofocus is slow. It's a little old. We'll put it in B tier. But it is a favorite of mine. I just don't want to be biased. So there's that. Moving on. So this is a 40 millimeter equivalent f1.7. It's kind of old. I hear the motors aren't that much better. I'm going to put this in B tier just because it falls just a little bit short of some following lenses. So 25 millimeter 1.4. I would say the old version 1 I put in B tier just because of the chromatic aberration, lack of weather sealing. But they updated this lens, put weather sealing on it. It bugs me that there's no aperture ring. But the weather sealing, the 1.4 aperture, if you're shooting Panasonic, it's pretty good. And of course, you know, linear focus, whatever. I'd say it's A now, but barely. I'd say that for value, honestly, the 1.7 is not that much different. Sure, it's not as professional, it's not weather sealed, but because of the price that you can often get this used or even new on sale, we'll put it at an A tier because I know it's better than the 20 millimeter in my opinion. But it is cheap. You're gonna want to upgrade eventually, I feel like. But for start beginners, the value is there. This Panasonic 30 millimeter, it's a little faster than the Olympus, but I still think it's got to go wherever the Olympus went, which I think was C tier. Yeah, I put it in B. All right. Try to be consistent at least within the list. Next, we've got the Nocticron 42.5 1.2. So this lens is insanely sharp, great bokeh. There's two things that bug me with this lens. One, the chromatic aberration is slightly off the chain. Why did I say that? But it is. And two, it's not weather sealed. The 12 millimeters weather sealed. The 25 millimeters weather sealed. Why in the heck is this not weather sealed? But it's just so good optically, besides the chromatic aberration. Has such a great look that I'll put it in A, but I'm mad at it still. It's a low A for me, to be honest. But the images you get, the portraits, the stuff it's made to do, it's incredible at. But then it just like has these two little things that are just like, as Christopher Frost would say, flies on the ointment. And I kind of agree with that statement. Panasonic 42.5 1.7, incredibly good value lens. If you're shooting on a GH4, you know, pocket 4K, no stabilization. This has stabilization, amazing. 1.7, pretty good. Macro ability is crazy. Geeky Nerdy Tech, he just did a great review on this little guy, and insane value. I put it right in there with A. I'll put it up in A too. It's almost S, but it's just I can't in good faith do that. Okay, so this f2.8 45 millimeter macro, I think it's got to go in B with everybody else, but I think this is one of the better macros you can get for the system, just because of the Leica branding and image quality you can get out of it. But it is a little simple compared to some of the best Olympus lenses. Okay, this is an easy A in my opinion. It's a 200 millimeter f2.8. It is expensive, but it's going to give you some of the coolest images on the system. It's, 200 millimeter f2.8, linear focus, custom buttons, focus limiters, stabilization if you're not on a stabilized body, and dual IS if you are. Very awesome lens, but very specialized too. So, welcome to A tier. I understand how niche this thing is though. Man, I want to do a shoot 200 millimeter f2.8 versus the Olympus 400 millimeter f4. Someone make it happen. KEH Lens Rentals, someone hook me up. Or don't, and I won't make the video because I'm poor. So that was all of the Panasonic lenses. Generally, it's so weird because I think their lower end lenses and higher end lenses are cheaper than Olympus's, but also, more affordable than Olympus's, but also a little bit cheaper. You know, the Olympus's top tier lenses are better than Panasonic's top tier lenses, but Panasonic's budget lenses are just such good value that it's hard to ignore. I think the Panasonic 1.7s beat the Olympus 1.7 and f2 versions, just because the quality is about the same, but the budget is a lot better. So, And then, yeah, I think Panasonic has better zooms than Olympus. More of them have stabilization. Some of them have better ranges and are more unique. And then the Leica 10 to 25 and 25 to 50 are just epic lenses. So overall, Panasonic versus Olympus, I would say Olympus has better primes, but more expensive. Panasonic has better zooms, especially for video. And then I think they also have an edge on the budget lenses too, just because the budget lenses are actually good budget. And then Panasonic also has the honor of having an S tier spot on a lens that's under, $600, under $500 American. So that's pretty impressive that 9mm is so good that it broke through to the S class, even though it's not exactly a premium lens. It's still, it earned its spot in my opinion, but you guys let me know what you think. But it's not just Panasonic and Olympus, and I said we're rating every single lens here, and even if we're going to categorize some later, there are some series and individual lenses that I think are worthy of like an epic spot on this list. So, the Sigma lenses. There are quite a few, or at least a handful of Sigma lenses for Micro Four Thirds. Most are just adapted from APS-C, but they still work and they're still pretty good. So, the first one is the Sigma 16mm Contemporary. So, these lenses are pretty decent optically, pretty decent functionally, but a step below manual and autofocus from native Panasonic and Olympus lenses as a general rule, but the fast aperture, the really low price, brings them up to B tier in my opinion. They're in the same category as the budget Panasonic and budget Olympus lenses, but it's like a little bit worse performance in terms of like handling, but a little bit better image quality sometimes, and a little bit faster aperture. So your mileage may vary. I'm going to put it in B just because, and they're just notable because of how budget friendly they really are. Sigma 19mm f2.8, like a 38mm f2.8 prime that's ugly as hell. D tier. I'm offended. I'm disrespected. After this, we've got the Sigma 30mm f1.4 Contemporary. So everything I said about the Sigma is also true for the 30mm. And, let's go ahead and just bring up the 56mm as well, which is a really, I guess, I lied. So earlier I said there's nothing between like 45 and 75 millimeters, but there is the Sigma 56mm. So if you want that 100 to 120 millimeter kind of 135 millimeter ish look, I know it's not the equivalent, but it's like in the same category. This is a great telephoto lens, great value. This lens is not weather sealed as far as I know, which is the biggest issue with it. And these Sigma lenses are like not at all or only like decently weather sealed in general, which makes them in that budget, makes them affordable, but it's B as well. They're really good. That one was almost sneaking up to A for me just because it's so unique, but nah, we'll do it. And then, look at this. We've got the rest of the Olympus 2.8 lenses. We've got a 30mm, so a 60mm f2.8 full frame equivalent, and another 19mm, a 60mm. They all disrespect me that the Sigma would think I would buy a 2.8 prime from Micro Four Thirds. I would barely consider that for a full frame. In fact, I wouldn't. I don't. So, yeah, get out of my face. I'm being silly, obviously. These lenses are small. They could be found really cheap, I'm sure, used. And yeah, that smallness might be make it an S tier for you. And they could be super fun. But I love shallow depth of field despite my Micro Four Thirds addiction. And so I have to put these lenses in D just because my own personal bias. Tamron. Everyone knows Tamron, but almost no one knows that they have a big catalog of lenses for Micro Four Thirds, mostly because that's not true. They have one lens for Micro Four Thirds. The Tamron 14 to 150, 3.5 to 5.8, version 3. Did they make 3 versions of this lens for Micro Four Thirds? I doubt it, but it just doesn't perform that well on Micro Four Thirds, especially before the stabilization. This thing was terrible. After stabilization, since there's none in the lens, it's still a little shaky past 50 to 100 millimeters. It's fine, but generally I think the Olympus like 12 to 100, 12 to 200, and Panasonic 14 to 140, or even like the Leica 12 to 60 are better lenses than this, but we'll put it in C just because they tried. Okay. These are tough for me because I'm very tempted to put these in S tier, but I think the image quality wide open, the lack of native support, and the lack of weather sealing are going to bump these down to A for me, but they're pretty good value. I'm talking about the Voigtlander lenses from Voigtlander from Cosina. We've got the Voigtlander 10.5 f9.5, which I guess before the Leica 9mm was the widest, fastest prime for the system. It's still the fastest prime by a long ways, and a very special lens. I would say this almost even earns it an S tier, but we're gonna put it in B, or B. We're gonna put it in A, but it's close. Next, we've got the 17mm 0.95, and again, very solid lens. Just to go over these Voigtlanders a little bit more, they're fully manual, no electronics. They've got a click and clickless aperture. They almost all have a consistent filter thread, so these are great photo cinema hybrids as long as you don't need autofocus. f.95 is pretty unusable, but you know, still very decent, and stopping down to even f1.2 or 1.4 makes them very good. I have a whole video on them if you want to check them out here. I've probably been putting links up to the ones I reviewed this whole time. But I would put this in A as well. They also have great minimum focus distances. Consistently some of the best minimum focus distances available for Micro Four Thirds, even if the image quality isn't good until f2. Still impressive. The 20mm f version 2, also A. Ooh. So, okay, I said these were all going to be A tier. And while I haven't used this lens, I think it's going to be S tier. We've got the 29mm super knocked on. So this is like a 58mm kind of equivalent. So very like the Helios 58 f2 kind of vibes. But this is a f 0.8 lens. So before this, the Ibelux 0.85 was the fastest lens. And Voigtlander said, hold my beverage. So thanks, YouTube. Hold my beverage. We're going to make an f.8. So this is going to be like an f1.6 equivalent on full frame. So a 50mm f1.6 full frame equivalent on Micro Four Thirds is crazy. This lens is big. It's expensive. It's insane. But it is so over the top epic that I think it deserves an S tier spot from Voigtlander. It's got all the same clicky, not clicky features from before, same amazing build quality. You have stops at f1 and 1.4, which is just so ridiculous that you have to stop down to f1. And when it comes to f 0.8 compared to 0.95, I think every point under 1 is like a third of a stop or a full stop or something like that. Like it goes exponential. So this is a fair bit brighter in theory than an f.95. And Voigtlander, send it to me. I want to use it. Or some rental place. Or should I rent it? Do you get, comment down below if you think I should rent this lens and make a film with it. So again, we've got the Voigtlander 42.5, 85mm equivalent. It's an obvious, gosh, we're gonna have to go smaller again. It's an obvious A for me as well, because the close focus, all the great features of before. And then I'm gonna put the 60mm, which is like a very awesome lens, in A as well. You would think maybe S because it's kind of unique, but for me, the different filter thread kind of throws it off from being a good set. I think it breathes a little bit more. It's a lot bigger and heavier. It just kind of falls just a little bit short for me from being an S tier lens, unfortunately. I think, and that does it for Voigtlander. So overall, some of the top third-party lenses, recap real quick. The Sigmas, amazing value, kind of poor handling and user experience, but pretty good images. Again, I have a review on my channel if you want to check it out. And the Voigtlanders are insanely versatile lenses. I have a review on those as well. But they fall just a little short of S tier just because the image quality, wide open, takes a little bit of a hit, and there's no weather sealing or electronics at all. All right, I want to talk about these two lenses, the DZO 10-24 and the 20-70. So these are like cinema lenses. So these are really pretty expensive, but not crazy for a cinema zoom. And I think these are really, really solid lenses. They're the only cinema lenses for micro four thirds, so they're going in A. If these were T2 or T2.2, really anything faster than like 2.9 would have got them a little bit higher on this list, like S tier even. But the minimum focus isn't great. There's no electronics, so you have to like really turn off or manually set your IBIS pretty consistently. They're going in A. But they are very, very good lenses, very unique lenses. So I did want to cover every single lens possible, so I wanted to go over a few more here. And these are going to be kind of light and rounded, so bear with me. Hopefully this is still cool. But I want to talk about the Samyang / Rokinon lenses. Now there's a ton of these. They're all pretty much just like DSLR lenses with a built-in adapter. One, that means it's kind of hard to get a good wide angle. And two, they're a little bit bigger than they need to be. And I guess three, they're just a little bit like weird focal lengths on micro four thirds. So I'm going to put them in like C, but in general, I would just buy the EF versions and then a speed booster because you're going to get a better focal length and more light and stuff like that. So not bad though. We're actually really good. I'd say with a option to speed boost the EF versions, I would put it in B, but the micro four thirds versions just never appealed to me that much for that reason. Next we have the Irix Cine lenses. So there's like an 11, 15, 21, 30, 45, 150. So big jump there. 2 150 macros. And yeah, these are pretty solid lenses. They've got, good amount of aperture blades. They're like usually like cinema or full manual lenses. And they come in a variety of mounts. They're all, again, full frame lenses though. So kind of weird to put these on a micro four thirds body without speed boosters and things. But, I'd say the build quality is good enough that we'll put them in a solid B because, they're still certainly usable. 7 Artisans is a very interesting manufacturer. Once again, these are usually APS-C lenses, as you can see here. Some full frame, and I think 1 or 2 micro four thirds, but we've got all the lens names are gone from this. Weird. So that's not very helpful. But 7 Artisans, they make pretty solid lenses. Very budget friendly, a lot of variety, good, pretty fast apertures most of the time. So we'll put 7 Artisans in B as well, as like a company. Astra Hori, very new company. Again, all APS-C and full frame, just kind of modified beyond micro four thirds, but 10 millimeter could be useful. 14 millimeter kind of boring, especially f4.5, f8. Weird probe lens, which could be cool on micro four thirds, but you lose that wide angle kind of look. So I'm gonna put these in C just because I feel like they don't work as well on micro four thirds as some of the other categories. But again, that probe lens by itself might be like, yeah, I need that. So to each their own. Brighton Star, again, these are all APS-C lenses, but you've got some 7.5, 10, 12, 35, 50. So you could get a comprehensive set here. I think I'm going to put them in C2 just because they're a little bit, the quality is not quite there as much, I don't think, compared to some of the other ones, and the options are not quite there, but still a welcome addition to the micro four thirds family. These Camland lenses are actually really interesting to me. They're all APS-C again, but we've got a 15, 21, 28, 50. Interesting lenses for sure, but could you make a complete set out of this? I'm not sure. The apertures are a little different. They're all a little all over the place. Slightly lower quality than some of the other ones. We'll put them in C, but it's a high C. Kip-on Iblux. This lens is too expensive. It's okay. I should recap. It's the Kip-on Iblux, previously the fastest production lens in the world. It's a 40 millimeter f.85, but it's for APS-C, so you're losing a little bit of image circle. It's an 80 millimeter equivalent, which isn't super versatile, and it's just not that high of quality no matter what version you have. So I think we put them in C for sure. The Mikey lenses. Okay, there's a ton of Mikey lenses, and some of these are Micro Four Thirds, like 8mm, 12mm, 16mm. There's a good cinema set, which are like, I think the same design as like the Vedra cinema lenses, but they're a little bit cheaper. All similar filter threads. There's from 8 to 65mm at least, I would say, and most of them are f2.2 or t2.2. So I'd say very welcome addition and probably some of the best cinema lenses for the Micro Four Thirds. I'm going to put those in A. Definitely worth considering if you don't need a faster aperture than 2.2. Mitakon is up next. So Mitakon, I definitely check out. I've reviewed the 25mm on the channel back in the day, 0.95, but they basically have 3 or 4 Micro Four Thirds lenses. There's a kind of weirdo kind of APS-C macro lens that they adapted that's only macro, so no like regular shooting at all. Could be great, could be kind of whack. And then they've got a 17 and a 25mm f.95, and then a kind of weird, not great 42.5 1.2, which again we got a link up here where I compare it to the Voigtlander, I believe, or maybe the Lumix or the Leica, whatever, old video, but it's still good. I think it's fun. I'll put these solidly in B just because they're okay for photography. They're not great for video, but not bad either. That macro lens is kind of interesting. But I did split this up. They also have a complete set of cinema lenses, which I think are a lot more appealing for most people. So yeah, we've got 17mm, 25mm, 35mm, and 50mm, all T1, f.95 sort of, but in T-stops. And these lenses are really solid, good minimum focus, decent image quality wide open, a lot sharper, stop down a little bit, matches across the board. Stay posted for my review, but I'm going to put these in A just because they're not quite as high quality as the Mikey lenses in terms of like pure image quality, but they're versatile like the Voigtlanders, where you can stop them down for a clean look, or you can, open them up for a cool vintage look. Next, we've got the Cine Micro Four Thirds lenses. So these are the anamorphic lenses, and I'm going to put these in B just because they're not like super ×2 anamorphic. I feel like 1.5 stretch is like minimum for me to have like a great time with the anamorphic lenses, but they're very solid. They're very good overall. Some inconsistencies here and there, but a decent set overall of 1.33 stretch lenses. So there's a ton of SLR Magic lenses, and they were kind of like one of the first big companies or companies that really just kept putting out really cool cine lenses and cool lenses, and so I respect them. They're going in B tier just because some of the lenses are better than others. There are a lot of inconsistencies, but they have such a wealth of lenses to offer. Some are A tier, some are C tier, maybe some are D tier, who knows, but I would check them out for sure and consider them strongly. Great company. And I really do like their SLR, the SLR Magic's 2X anamorphic set. There's a 35, a 50, and a 70. They're all pretty good. They're all made for Micro Four Thirds, but I feel like they've definitely been surpassed by a couple lenses, so they're going to go in B as well. They're just not that sharp. They're not that fast. They're stretchy, have a lot of cool anamorphic vibes, but I don't know. I want to check them out more and use them more, but they just don't quite hit the same way anymore. TT Artisans, kind of a hit and miss on this sometimes. A lot of, again, APS-C adapted lenses. You got the 7.5 fisheye, 17, 25, f1.4 and 2. A lot of f2.8 to 1.4 type of fast, cheaper lenses. Generally, pretty solid little lineup here. I'm going to put them in B just because they're kind of inconsistent in quality and in aperture and all this stuff, and they're not really made specifically for the system, but a good option for sure. Vazen. These are good lenses. 28, 40, 65, 1.8 stretch. Okay, here we go. They're going in S. I haven't used these lenses personally, but I've watched a lot of videos, seen a lot of test footage, and I think Vazen just absolutely flexed on people making these like super, super high quality cinema, big stretch factor, Micro Four Thirds, anamorphic lenses. They're probably the best single option natively for Micro Four Thirds at this point for anamorphics, but they are expensive. So they're S tier, but they're expensive for sure. Laowa. I'm gonna put Laowa in a few categories. So there's three categories of Laowa I'm gonna put them in. So there's first is like their photo normal lenses. 4mm, really cool. They've got a lot of Micro Four Thirds native lenses: 25mm 0.95, 17mm 1.8. They have the famous Laowa. You know what? They're gonna have to go in A tier for me, just because the Laowa 7.5mm was the standard wide angle, and they've improved it with the 6mm. They've had a 10mm. They've cut a couple things like that. So generally, I mean, they have a 4mm f2.8, which is for APS-C, but even with that in mind, it's like the widest lens you can get for Micro Four Thirds. So we've got a macro lens too. So they have a little bit of everything, and they're pretty good quality too. So gonna have to give them an A tier. The Laowa Cine lenses, they've got a 6, 10, 17, and a 50 Cine lens. So 12, 20, 35, and 100mm. Feels like there's a little bit of a gap there. So I don't know. These Cine lenses are weird for me, so I'm going to put them in B. But they're close to A. Now, the Laowa Nanomorphs. 1.5 stretch, decent price, 27, 35, 50. I think they're T2.8 or T2.4. Yeah, a little bit of a mix. So I'm going to put these in A just because they're a decent budget option compared to the Vasins. They're not that expensive, but they're not that cheap either. They seem like good quality, but the characteristics are a little all over the place. Really good set of lenses for Micro Four Thirds. The Viltrox, we've got APS-C Super 35 lenses again, 30, 23, 35, and 56. Good overall set, not great, only 3 lenses, not the biggest range, no wide angle, but really good overall. I'd check some reviews out, but I would say they deserve an A just because, they're one of the better quality overall prime lenses. They're a little bit slower but sharper than the Mitakons, but a little bit faster than the Mikeys. So there you go. You've got 3 Yongnuo lenses, which are pretty okay. I'm going to put these in C generally. I was actually supposed to test out that Yongnuo 12 to 35 2.8 to 4, but I never got it. So I can't say how good that is for sure, but I've seen like Jimmy's review and a lot of other people. They just seem to be pretty okay lenses. They're like cheap versions of like the cheapest Micro Four Thirds lenses already, so they're probably a good bonus things, but they're not on the same level as like a native lens, of course. Moving on, we've got the Tokina MFT Primes. So these are full frame lenses. They're all full frame, but they do have a great range. These like Vista lenses, but they seem so expensive. They're like pro cinema lenses, so they're obviously like A in quality, but I wonder the reason to use the native Micro Four Thirds mounts with these. So I'm going to put them in B just because I don't understand, why you would use these Tokina Vista Primes on Micro Four Thirds natively, unless, I don't know. Someone comment down below. What do you guys think of the Vistas? I don't hear them talked about that much. And then there's a few Cinema Zooms, which are the same sort of story, either Super 35 or full frame, mostly Super 35. I mean, I get you're getting the Tokina 11 to 20 is great, but again, why wouldn't you just adapt a full frame version? So confusing. They're A if they're adapted, B if they're native, in my opinion. And what's this last one? Oh, that was them. And that is kind of the whole tier list, Let's just go over our like S tier again. We've got the Olympus Primes. They are 1.2, fantastic. The only problem with them as a set is there's no wide angle other than the 8mm, which is a fisheye, so I don't really consider it. But 1.2, feathered bokeh, buttery smooth, super sharp, all matching, clutch focus, weather sealed. What else can you say? Moving on past that, I think the best zoom for the series is the 10 to 25, the 25 to 50, 1.7, again, clutch, aperture, weather sealed, parfocal. They're great. They could almost be used as cinema lenses in my opinion, and I have. So very cool. I have a review on both of those lenses, and I have hopefully a review coming out on them together as a set, so keep an eye on that. Moving on to the 9mm Leica, yeah, it earned a spot just because of how unique it is. Other than a third-party Voigtlander 10.5mm or the Laowa 7.5mm f2, there was no native lenses for Micro Four Thirds that went this wide or are this fast, and definitely none with autofocus, because those other lenses don't. Not that autofocus is super important at such a wide-angle lens, but it is nice, and so this 9mm is super impressive. 1.7 aperture, rugged build quality, still fairly small, so impressed. More revolutionary lenses. Voigtlander with the 29mm 0.8, the fastest production lens ever used, pretty much ever. Definitely on Micro Four Thirds. I think the only lens faster than this I've even heard of is the like NASA 0.7 lens they used on Barry Lyndon, and this is an expensive lens, but compared to that thing, which I don't think you could even get, and if you could, it would be probably like $700,000. Pretty good deal compared to that. You don't have to call NASA to buy this lens, which is great. And then finally in S tier, we have our Vazen 1.8, super high quality anamorphics, so solid. I definitely want to use these lenses in the near future or whenever they want to send them to me. Vazen, please. I'm too poor to afford them otherwise. Other than that, A tier, you have a lot of your high quality zooms. You have the 2.8 zooms from Panasonic and Olympus. You've got a lot of the Leica Primes and some of the cheaper ones as well. And then the Voigtlander lenses, which are great overall, but just a little soft. B tier, C tier, D tier, we don't know about that. B and C, a lot of these lenses could be interchangeable, but a lot of these are the really low quality zooms, the gimmicky lens cap, body cap stuff, the cheaper prime lenses, and things like that. And then in the D, and down in the disrespectful tab, we've got the really bad zooms, the really poor, slow, disappointing prime lenses from Sigma and stuff. And that's your whole tier list. Panasonic, Olympus innovated such an interesting format here that has so many advantages, and these really unique lenses that you wouldn't see on. There's equivalent lenses to full frame, like the 12 to 35s and things like that. And then there's Olympus just pushing the boundaries for the range of their zooms and the quality of their prime lenses that give you cool bonus features, like almost like pseudo APO bokeh with the feathered bokeh. Revolutionary lenses like a 10 to 25, like 25 to 50 equivalent. No other lens really has that equivalent on any format, which is insane. And I love the amount and variety of lenses we get for pros and casuals. And again, if you own these lenses that ended up in C or D tier and still love them, that doesn't mean anything. This is just my stupid opinion online. Doesn't matter at all. It's just kind of entertaining. But tell me, what's your favorite lenses? What do you think of my tier list? Check it out. Do your own tier list. And appreciate you guys stopping by. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you had a good day. Hope you continue having a good day. And get out there and shoot something. Send me some stuff you shot. Send me a project you shot on your favorite lens. I got an email. Figure it out, though. Or DM me on Instagram. I'm down for whatever. If you guys are still here, I'd love to hear from you guys. I love the comments, but, DM me. Figure something out. It's all good. Should not be drinking coffee at 4 p.m. Good tip, guys. If you can stop drinking coffee after noon or after 2 p.m., no coffee, it'll benefit you a lot. So do as I say, not as I do, right? Oh, man. Tier lists, right? It's a good time. I really missed so many lenses in my first tier list. It's kind of embarrassing. But hopefully this was a good time. Hopefully you guys had a good day. Hopefully this made your day a little bit better. I really want to know if someone got this far and is still watching me talk about nothing. Comment Beluga down in the comments, and I'll see you there.